You've received your shipment, you've inspected for damage, you've called Lil Orbits if there was any damage on the outside of the packaging. Now we're going to open the box and set it up. First thing you want to do is cut the tape. Once you open the box, take your hopper bowl out, set it aside. Right underneath the hopper bowl is your instruction manual. This is what you need to follow. The video is a condensed version of what is in this paper. So set your instruction manual aside and remove the packaging from the box. Save this packing material because it's great when you move from location to location to keep your donut machine safe. And you need to cut the shrink wrap off in order to get the motors and the machine out. Do not lift tray by the handles. Use the plastic straps. These are the plastic straps. Now to take the donut machine out, grab it by the black straps and lift it straight out. And set it on the table behind you. Inside the box are all of the motors and all of the parts and pieces that attach to the donut machine. Your plunger, your pump motor, your servo motor, and your hopper motor. Make sure when you're emptying your box, you remove everything from the box. This is your support post, your drop plates, your stainless steel, Teflon, your filter basket, and your pump motor cover. Now that you've removed everything from the box and you have everything unwrapped, there's two things that you need to remove the coating from. On your paddle wheel cover, it comes white. That's the material that's on the outside edge of it. It needs to be removed before you use it. It will melt and go right into your oil and contaminate your oil. All of the parts on this donut machine are stainless steel. If you see something white, that's the coating. You need to peel the coating. So both the paddle wheel cover and also the filter basket has that coating on it. Just remove the coating. Inside of your donut machine, there's a level and a stainless steel polishing pad. Both of these you will use. Now it's time to cut the bands. Remove the cord. The cord is permanently attached. You're not removing it, you're taking it out of the tray of the donut machine. Inside of your tray, some of the parts of your machine that you'll see in the instructions are already put into your donut machine. The paddle wheel and the gear nests, they're already in there. So now we can start the assembly of the machine. This is your tray. The tray just sets inside of what we call the fry tank and chassis. You remove the tray and set it aside. Your heating element also just is removable. On the bottom side of the heating element, there's a safety switch. When you set the heating element on the edge of the machine, you should hear that click. That's how you know you have the heating element in the right spot. At this point, when you have your donut machine disassembled, this would be the time that you put your oil in your machine. When the tray is removed, this is where the oil level marks are. Oil expands. You need to put it in so that it's underneath these oil level marks, so as it heats up, it will expand to those oil level marks. This is your Teflon drop plate. Goes right in front of the paddle wheel. Your stainless steel drop plate goes right behind the first flipper. In the bottom of the tray, for the stainless steel drop plate, there is dimples that drop plate falls between. Now your filter basket mesh just sets in the end of the donut machine, also known as a crumb catcher. This is your support post. It's pinned. There's a groove cut out in the corner casting. So you set your support post in. You have to loosen the thumb screw so that the support post will set all the way down in, and just turn it until it finds its groove. Now we're back to the level. It's very important that your donut machine is level in both directions. If your donut machine is not level, all four of the legs on the donut machine, the centers are adjustable. You spin in or out to adjust it. Now we're to the point where we're going to put the motors together and onto the machine. This is your pump motor. It's got a 110 outlet and it plugs in on the bottom side of the heating element. This is one of two gears on the whole donut machine. The other gear is on your paddle wheel. There's holes and pins. Line it up, set the gear to the gear, over the pins, and plug your 110 cord on the bottom side of the heating element. Next, we'll put on the servo motor. The servo motor also has two holes in the bracket that line up on the pins on the tray. So you'll lift up on your linkage arm, put the top pin in, and let them align with the pins on the tray. Next, we'll put on the hopper motor. And if you see on the back side of the hopper motor, there's a counter. It's a tamper-proof counter. It will count every single donut that gets dropped. You're going to see the number on your donut machine from 0 to 600. We test them and we can't reset them without replacing them. The hopper motor sets on the top of the support post. The paddle wheel cover. Paddle wheel cover only goes on one way, and it goes over the top of the paddle wheel and the gear. Now the hopper bowl. If you look at the lip on the hopper bowl, on the hopper motor, there's two grooves. The lip of the hopper bowl lines up with those two grooves and slides in. On the back side of the hopper motor, there's a keeper latch. If you push your bowl all the way back, that keeper latch will fall in, push down on the keeper latch, as that's what's holding your hopper bowl in place. And now the piston. In the end of the piston, you'll see a hole. That's where the connecting rod connects. If you look at the piston, it's wider at the top and narrow in the middle. When you're putting it into the hopper bowl and the casting, the narrow part goes in first and the wide part sets into the casting. find the hole in the bottom of the hopper and connect the connecting rod. To plug in your motors, we'll plug in the servo motor first, and it's labeled servo motor. The cords are pinned and they're directional. They only go in one way. Line it up, push in, and tighten the screw. Hopper motor, also pinned, only goes in one way. Line it up, push, and tighten the thumb screw. As you can see, we've removed the motors and the tray to put oil in the donut machine. The Model 1200 donut machine holds a little over 2 gallons of oil. We're putting liquid oil in this donut machine. This is a 5-gallon container. There is an oil level mark on your tray, but if you remove the container from its box, you can see where about 2.5 gallons of oil is because it's a 5-gallon container. So dump till you're just under half and stop. Then turn your donut machine on and let it heat up. That way you can see where you are on your oil level marks. So we've done that. Now I'm going to set the tray back into the donut machine and we'll start heating up the donut machine. We're going to turn the thermostat all the way to 375. The thermostat only goes to 375 and then stops. Your cooking temperature is 375. So turn it to 375 and leave it at 375. This will take about 30 minutes to heat up from cold to 375. Now that you have your oil in your donut machine, we can reassemble and put all the motors back on. While our donut machine is heating up, we just wanted to say we chose to use liquid shortening for this video. If you were using solid shortening, you would have taken pieces of that solid shortening and packed it in around the heating element. And if you're going to use that solid shortening, you need to pack it good around that heating element because it's a submersed heating element. If you leave a hole and it's not covered, it will burn from the inside out and destroy your heating element. So if you're going to use the solid shortening, you need to make sure that you pack it in around the element good before you turn it on. We're about 15 minutes away from the donut machine being up to temperature. So we're going to make our donut mix. To make our donut mix, we use a KitchenAid tilt head mixer. Some areas this is okay. It is not an NSF approved mixer. We do have NSF approved mixers and some areas require it. To make our donut mix, we do everything by weight instead of measure because it's more accurate and anybody can do it. We have the scale. We're going to turn our scale on, take our mixing bowl, put it on the scale, and tear the weight of the mixing bowl off of the scale. So now we're at 0 again. A full batch of donut mix is 4 pounds of donut mix and 2 pounds of water. I have my water in my pitcher and it is at room temperature. That is the goal. Between the donut mix and the water, you want them both to be room temperature. Our donut mix is stored in an NSF approved brute container. So I'm going to scoop 4 pounds of donut mix into my mixing bowl. And you want to be exact on this. Now I'm going to add 2 pounds of water. So my scale will read 6 pounds. In different areas, your consistency is going to be a little bit different. There's more humidity in some states, there's less humidity in others. The 4 pounds of donut mix and 2 pounds of water is just a starting point. You may need to add a little more water or add a little less water. It depends on what your end product looks like. If you're getting a donut that looks like a donut hole, on your next batch of donut mix, you need to add a little less water to that donut mix. If you're getting a donut that is very thin and may look like an onion ring, you need to add more water to your donut to puff that donut up. So I'm at my 6 pounds. I'm going to take the mixing bowl, put it on the mixer, and you see that we use a beater blade. The beater blade that we have has a rubber edge on it, and it scrapes the inside of the bowl. So you're going to see me pulse the mixer a couple of times. If I don't pulse the mixer, the donut mix will splash outside of the mixing bowl. So I'm going to put the mixer down, lock it, and the first setting to stir your donut mix is stir. I'm going to pulse the mix and set it on stir for 1 minute. So it's been about a minute. I'm going to shut this off, tilt the mixer head back, use my scraper, and I'm going to scrape any dry mix that didn't get mixed in so that it falls into the donut mix and it gets mixed better. You scrape the inside of the bowl, push it to the middle, put the head down and lock it again and go to the second setting, which is 2, for another minute. So we're done with our second minute. We're going to shut the mixer off, unlock the head, tilt it back. You see the consistency. It's in between a bread dough and a cake mix. Scrape your beater. Make sure you don't have any dry donut mix. Now this donut mix has to set for 10 minutes. That allows our leavening agents to activate, to rise, before we put it in the donut machine. Our donut mix has rested for its 10 minutes, but before we put it into the hopper, as you can see, the hopper is not sitting over the oil. If you leave it sitting over the oil, the bottom of the hopper heats up, the cutter and the piston expand on one another and they become too tight. So when you're not using your hopper bowl and you're not making donuts, slide it away from the oil. So we're going to put our donut mix in. So we're going to run this donut machine on 2 different settings, normal automatic and skip cycle. First thing we need to look at is to make sure our donut machine is up to temperature. When the light is on, the donut machine is heating. When it's off, it's at temperature. As you're making donuts, that light is going to come on and it's going to go off constantly. Once you're at 375, it will hold that average. So you'll see it come on and go off. So to begin, I'm going to show you how to run this machine, the SS1200, on skip cycle. I'm going to turn the hopper dial to skip cycle. I'm going to turn my servo speed into the skip range. and I'm going to turn on my servo and pump toggle switch. You'll see me using chopsticks when we switch over to make 1200 donuts an hour. When the flippers are down, I'm going to turn on the hopper motor. The machine is going to drop one donut at a time, and there'll be one donut in the first section of the machine and one donut in the second section of the machine. Skip cycle is 5 dozen donuts per hour. When it's on skip, you don't need to hold any donuts back. It will do everything on its own from start to finish. So now we're going to switch over and use normal automatic. I need to let all of these donuts clear out of here, otherwise they just come out uncooked. As you can see, I have a chopstick. Chopsticks are thin wood. We have to set the timing in order for this machine to make 100 dozen donuts an hour. To do that, we use this chopstick. We don't suggest you use any metal, because if you get it caught in any of the flippers, it can bend the flippers and damage the machine. A chopstick will simply break. So to run it on normal automatic, I'm going to turn the hopper drive to normal automatic. I'm going to turn my speed to 10. And when the flippers go down, I'm going to turn on my hopper motor, and I'm going to hold 8 donuts back in this section of the machine. Then I'm going to let them go. And I'm going to hold 8 more back in this section of the machine. Then I'm going to put my chopstick down, and that's 100 dozen donuts an hour. As you're making donuts, the hopper itself is gravity fed, so it works off of the weight of the donut mix in the hopper. As the donut mix drops, your donuts are going to change. They're going to get smaller, they're going to get misshapen. There's a size wheel on the donut machine that'll allow for a little more donut mix or a little less donut mix to drop. I can see that we've made enough donuts that my donuts are starting to get a little smaller. My setting is on 3 now. I'm going to grab the size wheel, pull out because it's spring loaded, and turn it all the way to 5. That'll allow a little bit more donut mix to drop out, so my donuts will start to look a little better. Now that we've had enough donuts, we need to go to the hopper switch and turn it to off, and it'll stop making donuts.